I still remember the exact second I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me. You know that kind of moment, right? The kind that hits so fast, your body reacts before your brain can even catch up. Your stomach drops, your face burns, and suddenly you become painfully aware of your hands, your voice, your breathing, your whole existence. For me, it happened in the middle of a casual group conversation. Nothing dramatic, no huge stage, no microphone. Just a few friends, a little laughter, and the one person I really did not want to embarrass myself in front of.
Nope, absolutely not.
My crush was standing right there. Someone asked a simple question. I turned too quickly, answered too confidently, and called him by the wrong name. Not a similar name, not even close. The second it left my mouth, I knew. Everyone heard it. There was that tiny pause people make when something awkward lands in the room. Then a few people laughed, someone repeated the name, and I smiled like I was taking it well, while my soul quietly left my body. The worst part about embarrassment is not just the moment itself, it is what happens after. Because after the room moves on, your brain does not. My body was there, but my mind got stuck inside that moment like it had been pinned to a wall. I could still hear the laugh. I could still see his face. I could still feel that wave of heat rushing up my neck. And on the outside, I tried to act normal. I said something like, "Wow, okay, let me restart my life." People laughed again. The conversation continued. But inside, I was spiraling. I was already imagining how this would be remembered. I thought, great, now every single person here is going to associate me with this moment forever. They are all going to tell this story later. He is going to think I am ridiculous. I am going to replay this before bed for the next 6 months. And that night, of course, I did replay it. Not once, not twice, more like 50 times. I analyzed my tone, my expression, the exact timing, whether I could have saved it better, whether I laughed too hard after, whether I looked desperate trying to recover. It is amazing how the mind can turn a 5-second mistake into a full psychological documentary. I lay there thinking, why am I like this? Why does one stupid moment feel so big? Why does embarrassment feel almost physical, like my whole nervous system is trying to punish me for being human? The next morning, I woke up with that strange, heavy feeling that follows shame. It was like my mind expected the world to greet me with the memory of what I had done. I checked my phone, half afraid someone had messaged me about it. I imagined seeing those people again and watching them grin the second they saw me. I thought this moment had become part of my identity. But then something weird happened. Nothing happened. No one texted about it. No one posted about it. No one brought it up. Later that day, I met one of the people who had been there, and we talked normally. Completely normally. No smirk, no callback, no mention of the name. That confused me more than if they had teased me, because in my head, this moment had become huge. But in everyone else's life, it had already shrunk back down to almost nothing. That was the moment I first really understood something called the spotlight effect. This is the tendency we all have to overestimate how much other people notice us, remember us, and think about us. In our own minds, we are standing under a giant spotlight. Every stumble feels visible. Every awkward pause feels amplified. Every mistake feels unforgettable. But the truth is, most people are not studying us nearly as much as we think they are. They are busy being the main character in their own head, worrying about their own weird comment, their own hair, their own text message, their own life. I had been acting like I was the headline of everybody else's day, when in reality, I was a passing moment in a much larger stream of things they were experiencing. That realization did not instantly erase the embarrassment, but it changed the way I held it. Because before that, I was treating my feelings like evidence. I felt exposed, so I assumed I had been judged. I felt ashamed, so I assumed I had done something deeply serious. I felt unforgettable, so I assumed everyone else would remember it too. But feelings are not always facts. Sometimes they are just intense internal weather. And what helped me most was learning to calm myself down with truth instead of feeding myself more drama. So I started asking myself a few very simple questions. What are the facts? The facts were, I said the wrong name. A few people laughed. The conversation moved on. No one mentioned it the next day. That is it. Not, everyone thinks I am pathetic. Not, my crush will never respect me again. Not, this will follow me forever. Those were not facts. Those were fear wearing a costume and pretending to be certainty. And honestly, that distinction changed a lot for me. Because embarrassment gets stronger when we let imagination pile on top of reality. The actual moment may be small, but our interpretation makes it gigantic. I also learned something else. Recovery from embarrassment is not just mental, it is behavioral. In other words, you do not only think your way out of shame, you move your way out of it too. After that whole incident, I realized I had this urge to hide. I wanted to avoid the group chat, avoid eye contact, avoid being seen again until I had somehow become a new person. But hiding would have taught my brain that the moment was dangerous. It would have confirmed the idea that I had something to run from. So instead, I tried one small action to regain a sense of control. Nothing dramatic. I did not make a speech. I did not try to force confidence. I just chose one tiny thing that said, I am still here and I am okay. For me, that small action was sending a normal message in the group later that day. Not about what happened, not an apology, not a joke trying to over-explain the moment. Just a regular message, like my life had not ended, because it had not. That tiny action mattered more than I expected. It reminded my nervous system that I could survive being seen after an awkward moment. Sometimes control does not come from fixing the whole story. Sometimes it comes from the smallest possible act of not abandoning yourself. And I think that is the part nobody teaches us. When we feel embarrassed, we often turn against ourselves immediately. We become cruel, dramatic, and unforgiving. We talk to ourselves in a tone we would never use with someone we love. But if your friend accidentally called their crush the wrong name, would you decide they were doomed? Would you replay it for weeks and define them by it? Of course not. You would probably laugh, maybe tease them a little, and then move on with your life. Yet when it is us, we act like one awkward moment reveals something fundamentally wrong with who we are. Now when I have a please erase me from existence moment, I try to remember three things. First, the spotlight is not as bright as it feels. Second, my feelings are real, but they are not always reliable evidence. Third, the fastest way to recover is often one small grounded action that brings me back to the present. A normal reply, a deep breath, a glass of water, going back into the room, looking someone in the eye again. Little things that say, I do not need to disappear just because I felt embarrassed. That moment with my crush did not ruin anything. In fact, the funniest part is that after a while, it became just another story. Not proof that I am awkward beyond repair, not a scarlet letter, just a human moment. And maybe that is what healing after embarrassment really is. Not erasing what happened, not pretending you did not care, but seeing it clearly, telling yourself the truth, and choosing not to build your identity around one passing moment of discomfort. Because being human means sometimes saying the wrong thing, tripping over your words, misreading a moment, or wanting to teleport out of a room. But recovery begins the second you stop asking, how do I make sure this never happens again? And start asking, how do I stay kind to myself when it does? And once I learned that, embarrassment stopped feeling like proof that I was broken. It just became proof that I was alive.